All right, it is Sunday, May 24th, and time for an update. Ooh, it's been raining here. It's hot and humid. You should have seen me before I just changed this shirt. I looked like I was drowning, and I wasn't even doing any work. But yeah, it's kind of humid here. I'm hoping that we get a little breeze coming through here and cool things off a little bit. But anyway, I'm up here at the garden and the vineyard, and I want to show you what's going on here. So let me flip this around. All right, I'm gonna climb under this fence. Hold on one second here. And you can see that I'm losing the battle here. Not entirely, but we got a bunch of sunflowers that have been chopped off right at the top. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 that just got sliced right off the top there. So the deer are definitely getting into this area, even though I've got the ropes up. So I think what I'm going to do, I bought a roll of chicken wire. It's 4 feet wide. It's 100 feet of it. And I really wasn't planning on using it for this, but I think it's probably necessary. So I'm going to put 4 feet of chicken wire along this side here and down here at the other end. I'm going to leave these open, these sides here open for the moment, because I think, I mean, I don't know, I'm just guessing here, but I think they're getting in from this end here. And if I block this off, forcing them to go either around to the sides or go all the way down to the end and try and get in will probably be a bridge too far for them. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just trying things, and you know, I knew I was going to lose a number of battles before I could even think about winning the war. So yeah, that's one battle that I've lost already. So anyway, the pumpkins, interestingly enough, they have not touched. And I have pumpkin plants that are beyond that end post. There's like 4 of them and not even a nibble. So they don't like the pumpkins, which is fine by me. They just like the sunflowers. And I do think they're nibbling a little bit on the grapevines over here. Let's take a look at that real quick, because I've managed to get them to start down this wire. So this one's going, this little branch here is going this way, and this one's going that way. And I don't know if I covered that the last time, but I actually did get this 9-gauge wire installed into the posts. So I had needed some more of these little wire vices. You drill a hole here, you push it in, and then when you put the wire through, it doesn't let it go back out. So this won't go that way. You can pull it a little bit more this way, but if you really want to increase the tension, but I think it's pretty tight at the moment. So I have enough wire to do the other line of grapes here. I tested that. I know I have enough. So, and I did get a new set of wire vices. So I can put that in place in the next day or so along here, even though none of the grapevines are tall enough yet to actually reach that wire on this side here. But it won't be too long, I don't think. So I can go ahead and get that in place. And the pumpkins, as I was mentioning, they're doing great. And it's interesting that I learned this not too long ago. Let's see, let's take a look at this one here. Apparently These flowers here, the one with the like the tall, super tall stems, those are the male flowers. And then the smaller ones here, right at the intersection of the two stems there, are the female flowers. And that's where the pumpkin will start to develop. So the pollen from this tall flower over here, the male flower, somehow has to get to the female flower in order for a pumpkin to start to develop at that point. So, interesting. You can also manually pollinate them, but I'm hoping that the bugs will do that for me. Come on, bugs. I mean, crying out loud, do something positive. So we'll see what happens. All right. And the watermelon, God, not much going on here. Still very, very slowly growing. God, yeah, these are almost worthless. This is still the biggest one down here. I mean, yeah, it's growing, but boy, I don't know. I would have expected for a watermelon vine, it would be much more like the pumpkins are, you know, explosive growth, big leaves, long vines for them to start to grow the watermelon on, but apparently not. I may try to, I don't know if I'm going to do this or not, but I may try to plant again with some different seeds, just see what happens. There's still plenty of time to grow them for the growing season here, so I could do that. And I'm actually going to put some more sunflowers in there once I get the chicken wire up, because again, there's plenty of time to grow the sunflowers. All right, let's go take a quick look at the berry bushes, and I'll be right back. All right, well, the berry bushes are doing pretty well. I actually believe I'm seeing new growth on the blueberry bushes. Like here, it's a lighter color, and I'm seeing it in multiple places on these bushes, all of them. So we're definitely getting some growth. And I did add, you can probably see little yellow specks down there. That's a little bit of sulfur pellets to help increase the acidity of the soil. So I'm hoping I didn't add too much. I have no idea what I'm doing, but so far so good. They all seem to be growing. And over here, the Saskatoons, I'm starting to see a little tiny bit of new growth, like right there. And I see on this one, I think I see some small new leaves. Not much. Here's one, like right there. It's a slightly different color, so it's a little lighter green. So I think that's new growth. But these are at least 2 to 3 weeks behind the blueberries in terms of putting them in the ground. So I'm not surprised that they're still kind of acclimating and not seeing any major new growth just yet. Hopefully in the next week or two, they'll start to put on some new leaves and maybe a little bit of new growth. All right, enough of the berry bushes. Well, we did have some rain, fairly heavy rain this morning. Not too heavy, but heavy enough to see some water flowing through here. And it looks as though this is actually functioning to keep 100% of the water out from this area at the corner of the house. So I think that's one small win for controlling the water that's coming down here during heavy rains. All right, just wanted to mention that. I'm happy with that. So, okay. I did some additional reorganizing inside the small shed here. So I got rid of all the stuff on this shelf here. It's all clean now. And I did bring this metal shelf unit up from the Quonset Hut and put all the little bits and bobs that were up here onto that shelf unit, which was a big help for organizing up here. I took a number of these boxes. I kept a few of them here, but this whole thing was just filled with boxes that I ended up burning this morning because it was raining. It had rained overnight. Everything was nice and wet, so no possible chance of anything catching on fire that shouldn't catch on fire. And that's always a good thing. And then I also added a couple of like wooden shelves on this side. So this here, that was actually a shelf inside that little room that I'm making into an office. And I had these brackets left over. So I did this one, and this one here, just to add some additional shelving space in this little shed. The metal shelf just wasn't quite enough, but I think at this point I've got plenty in here, and that should do it for any shelving in here. And this is the wire, the chicken wire that I had bought, that I'm probably going to put on the back side of the vineyard garden area, just to try and keep the deer out. So we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, it's like a 50-50 proposition whether it works or not. If necessary, I can get some more of this and go along the sides as well, but this was like $100. So I don't want to spend another $100 if I don't really have to. So I was really hoping to use this for some new berry bushes to just sort of surround them and keep the wildlife from chewing on them. I think if I just use this on the far side of the garden and vineyard, I'll still have plenty left over to wrap the new berry bushes that I'm going to put in the ground. All right, so this was the insulation that was in that little room prior to me doing the work in there. This is all going to go. I need to clean it off a little bit. I'll probably use it for the ceiling insulation, in addition to some foam board to insulate the top of that room. And then in the walls, I'm having new fiberglass insulation for the walls in there. All right, well, I think that does it for in here. Let's go down to the Quonset Hut and see what's going on down there. All right, well, I was working on a couple of new vertical shelf units here, just to give me a little bit more storage space here to replace that metal shelving unit that was in here I took up to the little shed. And this was the new one that was built with 2x4s and OSB. So I've got all the OSB shelves painted with the little surrounding 3-inch lath or fairing strips here. Just makes it a little nicer, keeps things from falling off. So everything that was on that metal shelf ended up back onto this unit. And because it's bigger, there's plenty of space here. And the other one that I was doing was this one here. This is those plastic Walmart shelves. So I also made the OSB shelves to cover all those holes in the plastic shelves that Walmart gives you. And in this case, I had an extra shelf from another set because they come with 5, but I was able to put it on top of here because all the other ones were only 4 tall. So this is a little impractical, but it does give you a little bit of extra space. I can put stuff that I really don't access very often because I need a ladder pretty much to see what's up there. So it's space, it's good space, but just a little hard to access. But it's still a good shelf unit that I'm using. And finally, I got the other fan up here in the front So that pushes the air that rises to the top of the Quonset hut out that screened louver, and then that is now hooked up to a switch here, so I can turn that on from here. And you can see that's now kicked on. So we have one on this end and one on that end for getting the hot air to go out the top. And then over here, the 4 fan units, which was probably a bit overkill, but live and learn. That will bring in the cool air from the backside of the Quonset hut. All right, I think that pretty much covers it for here. I'll tell you that the next big project for this summer, or maybe even into the fall, will be to set up an additional small shed by the small shed unit that's already there. And that's going to house some solar array batteries and an inverter. And then there's going to be a solar array out beyond that, like right in the grass area that's maybe 50 feet to the north, where it's pretty much sunny all the time. I may have to cut down 1 or 2 trees, but yeah, that's not really a problem. I don't like those trees anyway. But I'm showing you here over in this corner because the Quonset hut will be able to switch between grid power and solar energy eventually, and I'm going to bring in the high voltage line from that shed after it's converted through the inverter into this corner of the Quonset hut, and then run it along here where this other wire goes all the way to the front of the Quonset hut here. And eventually I'll put in a circuit breaker panel right here. And I've already determined that there's plenty of wire that I don't have to splice anything. I can take this sort of hub here, move it into a circuit breaker panel here, and then have that wire from the solar system come to maybe a switch, and that'll allow me to switch between solar or grid power for the Quonset hut. So I'll have that option. And then eventually I'll also have a same type of switch that allows me to switch between grid and or solar to run my well pump. So if we're ever cut off from the grid, or there's an outage for any length of time, then I can run my well pump and I can still get water into the house, still water the garden, still take a shower, still, use the hose and the sink and the toilet, that's important too. But yeah, so I'll be able to get water into the house even if we're cut off from the grid for a short period of time. All right, that's it for now. Talk to you later.